At Premier Heating and Air, we wake up every day with one goal in mind, and that's serving Middle Georgia with the fastest, friendliest service available. Experience a Premier difference. Do you need faster response getting your AC fixed or replaced? Then call Premier. Since 2001, Premier has been providing the fastest response on incredible AC, indoor air quality, and commercial services. Our work ethic and service has been the key to our success. The difference is clear. Call Premier. Now breathe easy with perfectly time saving on a new AC system. Free estimate and up to $2,000 in rebates. So you'll beat the heat in total comfort all summer long. Log on to dublin.premierishere.com. Premier Heating and Air, a locally owned and operated company. Offer ends June 30th, 2023.
Good morning and welcome to it just hit me a minute ago, June. First Friday means business. We're in June already. Wow. But we got a great crowd this morning. We got a great program for you this morning. I want to say thank you to our folks at the Dublin Mall for being our sponsors this morning. And before we return thanks for our meal and do our Pledge of Allegiance this morning, it might be embarrassing to her, but I want you to turn and look. The young lady standing in the back, Miss Nikki Wiggins, is our newest employee. She's our new office manager at the Dublin-Orange County Chamber of Commerce. So, stop by and say welcome and introduce yourself this morning on the way out. That would be fantastic. If you would now, please join me and let's return thanks for our meal this morning. Father, we love you so much. We thank you for this new day that you've given us today. Lord, thank you for an opportunity to serve one another, to serve our families and our communities and through our jobs. I pray that you would bless us, that we would be a blessing to others. Lord, we thank you for the food that's been provided this morning. Bless it to the nourishment of our bodies and our bodies to your service in Christ's name. Amen. If you would, stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. And if you would now, welcome Ms. Jennifer Bryant, our 2024 Chamber Board Chair.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and coming out just to hear what we have going on in the community. At this time, I would like to introduce the guests that will be giving us those updates. We have Josh Powell with the city, which will also be our program for today. We have Trey Kemp with the county commissioners. And then we have Jason Dollar, who is our vice chair for the Chamber of Commerce this year. So at this time, you're going to hold tight? Okay, so we'll start with Trey.
Good morning, y'all. I know I'm going to sound a little bit like an after-school special, but I want to talk to y'all real briefly about voter turnout. So in this last election, we had about 25% of the voters that are registered in Lawrence County come to vote. And in my election, and that's what I'll focus on, that's about 1,800 people in District 2, and that's it. We're in a primary runoff now, which has historically the lowest turnout of any election throughout any election cycle. In fact, they're anticipating that the turnout will be lower in this election cycle for the primary runoff than in previous runoffs. So both the probate court and the registrars are saying we can expect between 5 to 10%. In my area, if I get 10% to show up to do the runoff, that is 700 people. That's it. And those 700 people will decide what happens with my district. Now, being one of 5 commissioners, that's a tremendous amount of power to put with just 700 people. That dictates the future of Lawrence County, not just as its coordination with the city, but the direction the entire county goes for the next 4 years. And it's not 700 people, but 356 people will determine who wins that runoff. And so 356 people will decide the future of Lawrence County for everybody. And so that is a tremendous amount of power to put in the hands of a very small group of people. So I encourage everyone, whether you're in my district or whether you're not, to please go vote exercise your right and help us move Lawrence County into the right direction. Thank y'all so much. Have a great weekend.
Morning, everyone. On behalf of the Chamber, welcome again, as he said. A couple of announcements I want to point out. Last month we talked about our Summer Works Youth Program, and that has kicked off this week. Those young folks, we have 13 young folks who are going through that program. They started their soft training skills, and they will actually be receiving their certificates today at Dublin High School. And next week, they will actually be starting employment. So you may be looking around, you may be hosting one of those students. Thank you to the businesses that did that. So they have gone through their orientation. We have trained them. We have prepped them hopefully on what they need to do and how they need to expect to handle themselves. And so you will be receiving those students, and they will be working from June the 10th through June the 26th. So thank you again to those who have sponsored those, and please work them hard and teach them great lessons, because hey, we all know kids coming out of school these days, they need soft skills, they need hard skills, they need everything they can to prepare them for the workforce. So thank you for helping with that. June 18th, business after hours, week and a half from now, saltwater fishery. The email will be going out here probably next week, so please sign up for that. We expect a good turnout for that. And then lastly, our 4th annual Ladies' Day of Golf. Raise your hand if you're signing up for Ladies' Day of Golf. We got any golfers in here? We got a couple in the back. So we have one spot open. We have 14 teams, I believe, and 13 teams are filled. Anyway, one spot left. So I'm looking around. So the reason I asked you to raise your hand, I only saw 2 or 3 people. I see a lot of ladies in here. Whether you can play golf or whether you can't, come out, have a good time. We've got time, one more spot left. So hey, get together with somebody in here, even if you don't work for the same business, co-sponsor a team. Come out on July the 24th, Dublin Country Club. Ought to be a good time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that date for the Summer Youth Works ends July 26th. And we are, Oconee is hosting our first student this year, so we're super excited about that opportunity. At this time, we would like to thank Dublin Mall for sponsoring today's breakfast. We have Ms. Brianna Hamby with us, and Luke Hanna, who is an intern with the property management group. So Brianna, if you could come forward, thank you again for sponsoring the breakfast today.
Good morning, everyone. I am on behalf of McKnight Engler, which is the management company of the Dublin Mall. And I want to first thank the Chamber for allowing us to sponsor this event. I always enjoy coming down here and seeing Heath and all the rest of the community that kind of make great, that make Dublin great. My job, I get to travel over the Southeast with my company, and I get to attend a lot of Chamber events, and it always amazes me how much time and effort that Heath and his team bring to the table to make sure that you all as a community get to see what's going on throughout businesses and different stuff with the city. So it's very phenomenal, and kudos to your team for making this happen. So how many of you in the past couple of weeks have driven by the mall? Show of hands. I know everyone's wondering what's going on out front. Well, I'm happy to say we are currently building a 3-tenant building out front. At this time, I can name 2 of those tenants. We're still working through some lease stuff with the 3rd one. Aspen Dental will be the larger bay on the end, and Jersey Mike's will be the smaller one next to Mattress Firm. In addition to that, I know in December, if anyone was at the after hours event, I did announce Tropical Smoothie will also be coming to an out parcel. So they'll be starting construction hopefully soon. We're working with some stuff with the city to get those permits in line. So very exciting stuff ahead. In addition to that, I welcome you to go back to into the mall and see some of your local favorites like Linda's. Newest member, I think, of the Chamber is Cardinal Creek. Tafara's and Southern Bells, those are all locally owned businesses that we have brought into the center and have great products. As we move into 2025, 2026, our goal is to enhance the facade of the entire front of the Dublin Mall. So you'll see some more construction as we get into the next couple of years, kind of updating it, giving it a little bit more life. And then we're also focusing still on doing the out parcel right adjacent to the Belk. So probably about a year and a half ago, we redid the Belk lease. So that kind of restricted us from doing some of the stuff in the out parcels that you might see in some other regional malls. So now that that's kind of gone, we're talking to a lot more restaurants and other businesses to get those, the old Carpet One facility, pretty much knocked down and rebuild it with something more vibrant. So we're excited for the future, and we look forward to bringing new businesses and tenants to the area. And thank you again for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Brianna, and to the Dublin Mall for sponsoring the breakfast and just what you're doing in the community. We appreciate that.
Hi, I'm Brandy, and I would like to invite you to experience our newly renovated mammography suite at the Fairview Park Hospital Breast Center. Our breast center has its own dedicated entrance with a relaxing boutique-like waiting area. You can make your appointment online anytime at fairviewparkhospital.com or by calling 478-274-3919. Most appointments take 30 minutes or less, and we will have your results back to your doctor within 24 hours.
From humble beginnings with a desire to serve the Dudley community, Bank of Dudley has grown to 5 locations, serving Lawrence, Twiggs, and surrounding counties. Serving our community since 1905, the Bank of Dudley is looking forward to its 2nd century of community banking. Drop in today to any of our 5 locations: Jeffersonville, Dudley, East Dublin, Veterans Boulevard, and downtown Dublin. Bank of Dudley, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender.
At this time, I would like to introduce Josh Powell. He is our city manager. The program that he will be presenting today is the Parks Master Plan and just what it'll look like for the quality of life for our community. I know we all know Josh and his role at the city and how he updates us regularly at different events, but just a little bit of information about his background. He is a lifelong resident of Dublin-Lawrence County. He graduated with a business finance degree from Georgia Southern University. He obtained his Juris Doctorate from John Marshall Law School in Atlanta and has worked since in private practice as an assistant district attorney for the Oconee Judicial Circuit. He later served as the city attorney for Dublin until December of 2021, when he was appointed as the acting city manager. He served in that capacity until his official appointment as permanent city manager August 4th of 2022. Josh and his wife Lisa live in Dublin and have 5 children. And as we were talking earlier, during the summer with 5 kids, it's more like a taxi service, if you will. But an interesting fact that I don't know if many of you know, I've known Josh for a very long time. We actually attended RILA together back in high school. So it has been a pleasure of mine watching you blossom and bloom into the role that you have and all that you do for our community. So thank you so much. And at this time, Josh Powell with the City Parks Master Plan.
Thank you, and I'm just glad you didn't pull up any old pictures. I was just waiting for that to happen. That's great. Glad to be with everybody this morning. Before I start the program, I do want to give a shout out for the Summer Youth Works. That really is a great program. If your business is not taking advantage of that opportunity to reach out to our local youth and give them some opportunities within our local businesses, please, I would encourage you to do that. The city has done that now and participated in the program for a couple of years. And we've actually had a couple of employees that we hired on and now are still working with the city. So it's been very beneficial. A great way to give our local students some practical life experiences in our local businesses. I'm going to go through, I ain't going to talk about the Parks Master Plan. I know we've been talking about that for a long time. The council did adopt that back earlier this year, and we have rolled into the implementation phase of that. But I'm also going to talk about some other quality of life projects that the city is working on and things that we're doing. So hopefully you'll find it beneficial. The city council, for those that don't know, each year we go on a strategic planning session, or sometimes called a goal planning session. Each year we go out of town typically and meet together as a group with some senior staff and talk about priorities for the city to make sure that what staff is doing and implementing matches with what the elected officials see for the future of our town. And it's a really great experience to do that each year. A couple of years ago, especially after we had kind of a major turnover on the council, we had a new mayor elected and 3 new council members at large came on. We developed 3 strategies with the new group that the city staff, we revisit constantly to make sure that everything we're doing matches with the strategies that the council has developed. So these are 3 of the priorities that I just want to put up for everybody to see that were developed a couple of years ago. The first is that we want strong neighborhoods in Dublin. And so the statement that was made is that we'll create and sustain strong neighborhoods that are safe, beautiful, clean, walkable, and connected. We'll accomplish this by prioritizing safety, beautification, parks, which we'll talk about, traffic, we'll talk about, and traffic calming, blight elimination, and housing redevelopment. And all of those things are major focuses of the city, and we have several different projects going to address each of those. The other is that we want to have quality growth in Dublin. We'll prioritize growth through careful planning and guiding the sustainable development of our city in a way that promotes the health, safety, and quality of life for our residents and prioritizes building wealth in our core. We'll accomplish this through improved development and zoning codes, policies that protect character areas, and foster physically attractive growth and supporting our existing industry and businesses and compatible new businesses and industries. We have a lot of towns, sometimes you'll see they keep annexing additional area and just growing and growing geographically, but oftentimes that creates voids in the middle of town. And you'll see, for a long time we had several strip malls that were vacant, and now thankfully there's a lot of development going on, and new businesses are taking over some of those buildings, especially you can see it clearly downtown. And so that's a large part of this quality growth statement here that we're trying to keep in mind and focus on. We also want to have sound governance, and this is the third of our 3 statements, strategies. The City of Dublin, through sound financial stewardship, will provide for the public safety, reliable city services, and maintain efficient transportation and utility infrastructure. We'll accomplish this through sound planning, striving for transparency, being responsive to citizens, and supporting our employees with the tools and training needed to be effective and efficient in their jobs. This is the core of what the city does. It's some of the basic services we provide: water, sewer, trash pickup, streets to drive on, public safety. And we do try to accomplish this and do strive for transparency. Last night we had our 2nd reading and public hearing on the upcoming fiscal year's budget, which will start on July 1st. And the city's budget this upcoming year is just over $95 million, which is one of the largest budgets that we've had. And it took a lot of work to get there, and if our city treasurer, Blake Daniels, and I worked very closely with all of our department heads and our council to come up with that budget this year, and it's really exciting, some of the things that we're going to be doing. So getting into quality of life, for those that don't know, we have a municipal golf course, Riverview Golf Course, that is down off of Highway 19 South, that we have, the council, when we got some ARPA money from the federal government a few years ago, we earmarked $800,000 of those funds to go towards Riverview. Some of the things we've done is invested in some new golf carts for the course and made some other capital improvements there. And one major change that's happened is our longtime golf superintendent retired, and I was able to fill that position with J. Roy Rowland, who is our golf superintendent now. And he has really jumped in there and gotten the golf course going. We really push it on social media and reach out and try to get the word out. And we've been holding, we've held this year a couple of special events, and one thing new we did this year was the Hearts and Clubs Valentine's evening event that we hosted, where couples could come and do a nighttime putting and ride around the golf course at night and experience that. It was lit up for that purpose. and then had a nice meal at the Emory Thomas Auditorium, which is a facility adjacent to the golf course. But as you can see, the numbers, I don't have any updates since 2023, obviously, but the numbers are going up on rounds played and the number of members. So if your business is not a corporate member at Riverview, I would encourage you to look into that. It's very affordable. It's a great benefit you can provide for your employees to get them, encourage them to be outside. It's a health and wellness thing. And if you can reach out to Jay Roy at the golf course to see about becoming a member. The Emory Thomas Auditorium was kind of a forgotten facility. It is one of the last remaining structure from the old 4-H camp that used to be there. This was the only African American or black 4-H camp in Georgia when it was constructed at the time. And this is one of the remaining facilities there where they used to have several activities. So we also took some of the ARPA funds that we had and renovated the facility, and you can see the before and after photo. And it is available for lease for business meetings, for conferences, for lunches. They host bingo there periodically. Weddings and receptions and that kind of thing happen there as well. So if you have any interest, it's a really beautiful facility, and you can reach out to either my office or, again, the golf course, and they can help you with a rental. We've got some nice chairs, and there's tables available there for rent as well, and it's got a stage, so it's a really, really nice setup. We also, if you look to the left of the stage, the door there leads to a small kitchen that we've installed. It's a caterer's kitchen, so you can have an event that's catered as well. Traffic calming. This has been one of those quality of life projects that we've started, and it all ties to making the neighborhood safe. We have had complaints year after year at the city since I've been there, even as my time as city attorney, about cars speeding through neighborhoods. And so we've taken a really holistic approach to this, and have looked at the different streets and roads we have in town to see how they're used and how we mean for them to be used. Neighborhood streets, we've focused on, they should not be used as cut-throughs, and we want to try to focus and get the traffic that is going from one side of town to the other to use the main arteries through town. And so the traffic calming efforts that we've taken so far and are continuing to take are meant to keep the neighborhood safe. One project in particular, I know you've probably seen and ridden over some of the speed cushions that we put up. Go right here out the back, and you'll ride over a couple. One kind of new option that we're doing, and we did on Edgewood Drive, is what we call a road diet. So Edgewood, if you weren't familiar, and Cardinal, which are over there back behind Hillcrest School, are very wide roads, and you really only need about 10 to 11 feet for each lane for vehicles to travel on. And so we had this extra area off to the side that you can see that we wanted to designate for multimodal type transportation, whether that be bikes, whether that be scooters, or whether it be people walking. And so we designated this lane to the side and narrowed down or gave a diet to the road to keep the cars in one designated area and provide a space for people to get out and walk in their neighborhood and feel safe. We had many complaints about people in this area not feeling like they could get out on the road because people were speeding through there. And so this has provided a nice way to do that. And I'll point out too, it was at minimal cost. It's just the cost of painting the lines on the road. So it's a great project. We're not completely finished with this. There's, as we do these traffic calming projects, we go back, and I would encourage you, if you've got any feedback about something we have done or something we haven't done, please reach out to us. We're anxious to hear from you. And we're constantly looking back to see if we can do things better. And we are going to go back and make a few modifications to this to make it clear, particularly when you're entering those roads, where the cars are supposed to go and where the bikes are supposed to go. But this picture right here was captured soon after the new lanes were designated there and painted, and this is exactly what we're going for. To see people outside safe with their kids, if they have any, or if they have 5 or however many they have. going out and enjoying being outside, and being able to go out and have a neighborhood life. Just because you live in the city, you shouldn't, be prohibited from being able to walk out and enjoy the outside at your house. The Jackson Street crosswalk is a project we've talked about for quite a while. It is finally happening. Just kind of wanted to give a brief update on that. Pride Contracting was awarded the bid for this project, and I will have a more definite date next week. We have a pre-construction meeting on June the 10th, but that is basically relocating the crosswalk that was previously on Jackson Street to be in line with the center opening there to going into Jackson Plaza. Part of this project will also make it safer for pedestrians to cross because there's going to be a build out from the sidewalk to limit where vehicles can get. So you'll have a buffer zone in the center lane where pedestrians will be able to stop if they need to, and then cross just 2 strips of traffic versus trying to cross all the parking and all the traffic lanes at one time. So that's a very good project, and you can see there how this will all be built out. So you'll have a buffer zone here in the center to get across. The Madison Street project, this also Pride, we ended up bidding this project and the Jackson Street crosswalk together because Jackson Street by itself didn't produce any bids. But they got both contracts, and this was a grant that was applied for. Tara Bradshaw, our city planner, this was one of the first grants that she applied for when she joined the city, and got it. It was a rural downtown redevelopment grant through the Department of Community Affairs, and it's a $3.3 million grant for a streetscape project. The local funds that are going to be used is just shy of $1 million, and you've seen probably Georgia Power on Madison Street, relocating the utilities underground is what they're doing there, as well as Charter and AT&T, and also the city's telecom will be relocated. That is going on now and is the bulk of the cost of the contract. Pretty soon, though, you'll start seeing some of the surface work happen. There's going to be pavers. There's going to be bump outs with trees planted. It's going to make it a really nice pedestrian street in town from Church Street in front of the farmers market all the way down to the skyscraper at Jefferson Street. So we're really excited about this project, and it should be starting again. We'll have a pre-construction meeting next week, and we'll have more definite dates on timelines then. And you can see there kind of the plan there. We're going to do away with the red light at Monroe and Madison, and that's going to turn into a 4-way stop to make it a little safer for pedestrians getting through. We're really hoping to emphasize that Madison is a pedestrian-friendly corridor and kind of like a festival street since it's tied in with the market, and just make it a really nice place to visit downtown. The TAP grant is a federal grant that we applied for and received, and this has been in the works, and I don't know how many of you dealt with doing federally funded projects, but they take forever. And so this has been going on for at least 4 years, just even in the planning of it. We applied for and received the grant, but it's an improvement of the corridor between the federal courthouse and the River Bridge leading to East Dublin. And it'll be very similar to what the Madison Street project is, making it more pedestrian friendly, trying to slow down some of that traffic, those big trucks coming through there, and just kind of do a streetscape improvement there to the way it looks right now. So that project, in this upcoming fiscal year, we are going to be doing the right-of-way acquisition that's needed. We have some additional right-of-way we have to acquire, and there's a lot of red tape to jump through for that. So it's coming. It's just going to take some time. This is a several-year project. So, but this is kind of the span. This is the federal courthouse down here, and the River Bridge on the other end. So that's just a project that's in the works. It's going to be an ongoing thing. For safety in our community, we've been really pushing on technology. There's been a lot of advancements and things that's available for us to use to help our police in combating crime and investigating crimes. You've probably seen all these cameras that are up through town that have the radar on it. They are tag reader cameras, and they have really been a great benefit to the police department in investigating crime. We had, anytime there's a Amber Alert or a vehicle that's been stolen or whatever, if it passes by one of these cameras, the police department gets an alert. And so they know where the vehicle is right away. It has just been, I couldn't quantify the value of these cameras to our police department. And they are not taking video footage, they're not writing tickets and sending it to you in the mail. They are just documenting what vehicle went where and when, and I apologize if any of these are y'all's vehicles. But you weren't speeding, you just went by that street. But it's just, all it does is documents when the vehicle went where, so we can kind of track and narrow down, particularly with criminal investigations, if a shooting or something occurred and it involved a vehicle, we can track kind of where that vehicle went and maybe tie it to who the person was. They also get a lot of data about the vehicle from the tag, and that's also beneficial. This is called a gunshot detection device that we have invested some money in and are testing right now. And basically within a square mile of land, these devices have been strategically placed in town in areas where the police department is designated there's a high probability of guns being fired. And it will, currently, if a gunshot goes off and the public calls 911 to report that, you'll have multiple people from all over saying, I heard it over here on this street, and I heard it over here on this street. And 911, the dispatchers are trying to ascertain, put together that information and give some good direction to law enforcement of where to go. And so they spend there's a lot of time that's wasted in trying to figure out where exactly this is based on the human, ear's perception of where the gunshot came from. These devices, there's multiple set up, and they triangulate the sound, and they can pinpoint within a few feet of where the gunshot took place. And so the police department is going to, and law enforcement in general, is going to get a notice of where that gunshot took place before the first 911 call even occurs. So this is going to save a lot of time as far as, and confusion for law enforcement in responding. We're testing it out now to make sure it works as they, these companies will tell you one thing, and then we're trying to make sure it actually does what they say it'll do. So. But before I go on from that, we also are installing live feed cameras, and they are working on the technology now for those where if there's a gunshot detection device and a live feed camera within close proximity to each other or wherever the gunshot goes off, that the camera will turn and go and point to where the gunshot took place right away. So it'll provide recorded and preserved data, video footage of whatever event's taking place if that occurs. So that brings us to Parks Master Planning. Kind of everything I've led up to or talked about so far leads up to this. We went through a long, year-long process of engaging with the public to figure out what the needs were and desires were from the community on city parks. And we engaged with a company out of Athens to help us with that process. Some of you, I hope all of you participated in the surveys that we posted about our city parks, and we had several in-person meetings. We met with children in the schools, we met with youth, we met with adults, we met with seniors, we met with religious groups, all types of associations and businesses we met with to get some information of what they wanted to see. The major things that were pointed out were playgrounds, walking trails, access to nature. Those were some of the big requests from everybody, the major requests. And then the youth, of course, wanted to see playgrounds, also access to nature, and then bicycling. So we took the information we received, and for each of the city parks, came up with conceptual master plans for those parks. This one is Springdale Park, which is a really great park. There's several ball fields there, and so what the plan is to redevelop the front of the park in particular to have a playground, some type of court for either basketball or some type of sport like that, obstacle course of some kind, And you can see just kind of having an open play field up front, and then the pavilions and bathrooms are also some of the big requests, and those are definitely needed in our parks. We're relocating the dog park area to kind of the front up there, trying to maintain the central baseball fields that are there currently, and then of course renovating all that. If you know our mayor, you know we're going to be planting a lot of trees, so that's a large part of this plan as well. And some of you may not know that the city actually owns this back lot back here at the rear of Springdale that connects all the way down to Springdale Road and the back of Westchester subdivision. So we are currently working on and doing a nature trail in the back, and actually the county is helping us, and we're grateful for their support with doing a small pond in the back there. We are excited about this project. This is one of the first projects we're working on. We're focusing first on the nature trail in the back because it's the least disruptive to the rest of the park. But we are going to go forward with a large playground up front because where that is located currently, some of you may remember the indoor racquetball facility that used to be there. That is the location for that playground, so we're able to go ahead and implement that without disrupting anything else in that park. This is the Oconee Gym area in Roscoe Brower Park, which is down off of South Washington Street. And a lot of the facility as far as the ball fields remains the same. There is some adjustment in the introduction of a lot of walking trails through to provide an area for people to have some passive recreation there. Oconee Gym is a project that we do have a grant for, and the county is also assisting us with that project. We're providing some local funds for it. The renovation of that is going to start in probably late September, early October. But that is actually the first of the Parks Master Plan projects, is the renovation of that gym. So that's an exciting project that's going forward with that park. There's a couple of different versions of the concept for Stubbs Park. I know everybody's been riding by and seeing the big field that's left vacant from when the school was demolished. And we're excited and ready to get something done there as well. Again, the county is helping us. We're finalizing the plans for a pond at Stubbs Park, and we're grateful to the county for their assistance in that project. This plan shows the gym that's currently there removed. There's a consensus of some that the gym's kind of an eyesore in the middle of the park and detracts from the natural beauty of the park. And then you can see that there's another concept that leaves the gym in place. So that decision is yet to be made. So if you have any feedback about the gym and its use, I would encourage you to reach out to your elected officials and let them know with the city, because they'll be ultimately the ones making this decision. But you can see between both plans, we will be updating the playground equipment and installing new playground equipment there. There'll be a pavilion restroom. We're going to renovate the activity building that's currently there, as well as eventually redo the skate park and some multi-use courts down there where the tennis courts currently are, and introduce more, again, trails for people to walk on and have some great activity. And then, of course, you can see in both plans there's a large play field over there where the school used to be to provide just an open space for people to gather and families together and enjoy nature. Other than the playground equipment, finishing this out is a little bit later. The priority right now is to do the back of Springdale and the playground equipment there, the playground equipment here at Stubbs, and Hilburn Park and Pritchett Park, which I'll get to in just a moment, are the priorities now because they're a little smaller parks. This is Hilburn Park, and the council awarded a bid to redo the pickleball courts there, and our good friends at Middle Georgia State University has agreed to take their tennis courts at the back of their facility and convert them to pickleball. So that's going to take place in the next several months. And as soon as those are online, we will do the demo and reconstruction of these pickleball courts, because I don't know if you go by Hilburn Park in the afternoons or in the evenings, but it is packed. There are tons of people playing pickleball there, and there's a line of people waiting to play. So we're trying to be as minimally disruptive to that as we can be. You can see it does have an adjustment there to some of the parking that's there to create some more green space. We're redoing the pavilion, redoing the playground equipment, and also we'll introduce a bathroom facility there as well. I don't know how many of you know where Crab Park is. I had not heard of it, to be honest, until I started working with the city, but it is down here. I can't, the name of the road just left my mind. It'll come to me when I walk out the door. Anyway, it's on this area of town down here, and it is not really utilized, or at least it's not being utilized for anything that you would want to take your family and friends to. But this is a concept we have in place, but this park is lowest on the priority, and there's also a possibility of some other development down around this area. So this is one we just have a concept for and have in the back of our mind, but the funding for this would not be until much later on, several years down the road. This is Pritchett Street Park, which is a great little park right in the middle of the neighborhood, and we have playground equipment on order now for this park. We are working on plans for a pavilion restroom to add to it. Currently, there is a road that cuts through the middle there. You can see right here. And it kind of divides up the two parcels that the city owns for this park. So the idea is to take out that section of road and make it one long connected park. There's also a change in elevation, a dramatic change right there at the road, which is kind of neat. And will allow for the play field. Some of the local community there likes to gather together and have events and play some ball, so they will still have that space available. So this is a great little park, and I'm excited to be able to do some work on it. This is Sandra Scott Park. It's over back behind Roaches, off of Georgia Street or Ohio Street, and it is also kind of an underutilized park in a lot of ways. It's because it's right there adjacent to some wetlands. It stays very wet right there close to the river. So this is a concept with just kind of the features that we'd like to see in that park. But there's been some talk about possibly relocating this to somewhere else within the Scottsville area so that those community members can have a nice park to go to. But this is generally the concept, to have some playground equipment, a pavilion, a walking path, and those type of features at the park. It's a relatively small park, but we think it's important for the Scottsville neighborhood to have a small neighborhood park to use as well. So implementation I talked about a little while ago. Hilburn, Pritchett, Springdale, and Stubbs are at the top of the list. We currently have just over $2.5 million in ARPA funds that remains to be used for city parks. Future funding, the SPLOST that was approved by you, the voters, thank you for that. We have $4 million that's anticipated to be used of that over the next 6 years for parks. And our good friend Matt Hatchett, our local representative in the Georgia legislature, was able to actually get us an additional $2 million for use in city parks with an amended FY24 state budget. And we have actually received those funds already, so that's a great thing. So be sure you thank Matt when you see him for that. So other options that we have for funding for the parks, we're going to continue to go after grants as we have. We will be seeking private investment for those that want to, and government partnerships. And then we also have a lot of great volunteer groups and garden clubs that are anxious to get involved in the parks and help them with that. There's going to be, we just hired, in fact today is her first day, Dorothy Rozier is our new community development coordinator, and she is going to be probably reaching out to each of you about ways that you can help support our local parks in the community, and I would just encourage you to participate in that if you can. You know, these are amenities for our neighbors, our friends, and our employees, so it's important to be able to provide a good place for them to be able to go together. So calling all of you to participate with us, and I thank you for allowing me to be here with you today.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you for the great work you guys are doing at the city and continually reinvesting in our city here. And I also want to say thank you to our friends at the Dublin Mall. Let's give them another round of applause for today. And Brianna, thank you to your team for continually reinvesting in our mall. A couple of real quick things for you I want to make sure that you're aware of. We do have a few business after hour sponsorship opportunities for the remainder of the year. If you're interested in being a part of one of the groups for the remainder of the year, we've got 2 or 3 months that we have a slot available. If you will call the office or email us, we'll be happy to talk to you about that. And I want to make sure that people are aware this is a little perk of getting to come to First Friday. Membership appreciation, a lot of you are familiar with that event. We have it right out here, very well attended. We have a lot of great vendors. That is starting to fill up already. So if you know you want to be a part of that event, I would go ahead and call the chamber and or send an email because we haven't posted anything or advertised that yet, but people have called on to the fact that it fills up pretty fast every year. And so they're registering earlier and earlier. So don't miss your spot for membership appreciation. And along with that, also industry golf. We got a lot of teams and a lot of sponsors already confirmed for that event that doesn't take place until later in the year. If you know you want to participate, go ahead and make sure you call and or email us about that. One last thing, I want to leave you with a word of encouragement. Bucky told me I had to stick with this. Something else popped in my mind for a minute, but want to share with you in John 16:33, the scripture says, I have told you these things that in me you would have peace. In the world you will have tribulation. I think we can all say amen to that. We can look forward. Some of that's going to come our way today, but you can take heart because the word says, I have overcome the things of this world. So with that, I want to tell you it's another great day for business in Dublin and Lawrence County, and I love you and God loves you, and we are adjourned.